what do you feel was the impact on you of that separation and that journey? Is it something that you understood as children? Is it something that you feel impacted you? What's your feelings on that? You don't have to go as deep as you would like to, but also within, I can see there's emotion there already. But what do you feel?
We discussed this, and I say we in the family, we discussed this, and there's a feeling across, and we've established over 3 years now a Thanksgiving in the family, Windrush Day Thanksgiving in the family agenda, which we try to push through Reach Society, and we've retained it, and we continue to do that because we felt. With the passing of my dad years ago, when we initiated it in the family with my mum and aunts and uncles, then they felt it was really great. So they were able to articulate on the first Sunday after Windrush Day. We just use our traditional Sunday to make it a family occasion. So we're not dependent on grant or what have you to enable that to happen. It will happen. So we make it a special day, our Independence Day, if you wish. And so the conversation there enabled us to talk to our children about what it felt like being left behind and growing up with our grandparents, not knowing who our parents were. And for some of us, we never knew like my sister never knew our dad, for instance, because he left when my mum was pregnant. So the first time he saw her was about 6 years when she was 6, by the time she arrived in the UK. And when I arrived, I was about 8 going on 9, and my brother was 10 going on 11. So we were in that sort of age bracket where all we knew was Jamaica and all we knew was family. So we didn't even know who they were. And so it was a period, if you imagine you're in your secondary school and you don't know who your parents really are, other than there's these two people who come and say your parents. Sort of situation. And so you don't know the impact that have until years later, when you're beginning to grow into adolescence and you're rebelling and those sort of things. So there was some rebelliousness in the family by some, not me, but other members. And you can understand why, because you just know when you're coming or going. So yeah, it had an impact, but not a negative impact, believe it or not. The impact is true and real at the time because we didn't know, and there's no falsifying that. Once we knew and we understood, and I was going to say 4 or 5 years in the UK, we started to understand, by which time we were in secondary school, in my case, about to, in school leaving age, by which time our brother had already left. So it took us that length of time to get a sense of the opportunities, and then we saw the opportunities. And so it wasn't a question that we didn't have a sort of animosity to our parents for doing that. We understood why they did it. We understood, because we grew up and when I go back, and I go back every year, when I go back, with the exception of the COVID period, we are still living in the same period as it was when I left in 1967. So there is a time warp, it seems, in the country. And so when I see now what we did, it was the right thing they did. And so it's what we now do with our opportunity that they have created. So often you stand on the shoulders of giants. And they were giants, because anyone who is pioneering are giants in my book. And if we fail to capitalize on that opportunity, then we would have capitalized to see the opportunities that they have sacrificed to give. So I see it now with hindsight, but as I was growing up, it became clear why they did it. And that clarity drove me and drove us as a family to try and succeed. How will we define the success? And success isn't measured in terms of certain outward trappings. It's how we raise our children. And our children who are in their 30s and 40s, will give hugs and kisses to their granddad and their granduncle. And when we meet, we have family reunions, 70 odd meeting up. We leave here, we go to America, meet the rest of the families. That's what it's about. That's the legacy. It's not about money. It's not about achievement in terms of graduation and university stuff and all the other bits and pieces. Yes, I was the first in my family, in that whole family that migrated during that period, in our family, not everybody else, in my family. And so, yes, there was a big burden, it seemed, but it wasn't, because they were glad that we made an opportunity work. And that was the thing. So my grandparents were really pleased to know that we did something. And that was all that they wanted.